I'm kind of disappointed, and it's not in you guys or anything, but I wanted to be the first to get you guys a Forbidden List video, and I've thought about it 2 weeks ago. I was like, yeah, I should do it then, but you know, how monster effects came up, live duel here, deck profile, and next thing you know, almost every other channel has a Forbidden List video, and I'm just sitting here like, well, I could have been first, but it actually reminds me of a pretty good story. I once had a girlfriend in high school that I probably shouldn't have had. Why? Because everybody had her before me, and we all know those type of girls, those less than virtuous girls that have been around the school. And you know, I always thought of it this way, and I think I can take it into this video. It's not about who had her first, it's about who did it best. And I am going to be giving you guys the best Forbidden List video you will ever receive. I am TheCaliEffect, and if you guys want to see more videos like this, then go and destroy that subscribe button. But more importantly, go ahead and hit that notification bell because, well, we just too strong. Also want to take this special time to give a mad shout out to every single one of my Patreons. Without you guys, I really mean it. This video would not be possible. We are actually shooting on a completely new camera, new everything, new setup, and I gotta give a mad shout out to my boys at Team APS, giving me the ideas and, you know, just basically mentoring me on the way to get the right equipment to make this better quality channel. So I want you guys to let me know how it is down below in the comment section. Without further ado, I present to you the best Forbidden List video that you have ever seen. Okay, so you guys might want to know, why is this the best Forbidden List video? Why does my time with that girl separate itself from any other time she's had before she obviously left me for another guy, because that's just how she rolls? The main reason is because this isn't just any normal, typical Forbidden List video. This isn't a prediction list where we try to predict what Konami is gonna do, because I tell you guys what, 10 times out of 10, every single Yu-Gi tuber has been wrong. This isn't a wish list video where we wish everything to be banned because we lose to it on a day-to-day basis. This is actually a sensical Forbidden List that not only addresses the problem within today's Yu-Gi-Oh format, it tries to make Yu-Gi-Oh as even as possible. Now, is this list perfect? By all means, no. But it's still a really good in-depth look on how the Forbidden List should be shaping Yu-Gi-Oh! As opposed to what we do play under now. So let's start off with the Forbidden cards. We're going to be going off with Firewall Dragon, Fire Princess, Cannon Soldier, Tomb Cannon Soldier, Shadow Priestess of Ohm, Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon, Soul Absorbing Bone Tower, Wind Up Hunter, and the Gem Knight Lapis Fusion Monster. Now, a lot of you people might be scratching your heads on some of these cards. Why is Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon banned? Why the Soul Absorbing Bone Tower? Why Fire Princess? Some of these cards might be having you scratching your heads. Why? Because they all do one thing. I feel like every single one of these cards should be errata to a hard once per turn, but seeing that I am not in the business of this, or I can't errata cards, I have to ban them, because every single one of these strategies or every single one of these cards plays in part to an intricate FTK, and one would say, hey, banning Firewall Dragon fixes all FTKs. That's not true. The Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon FTK does not use Firewall whatsoever. Now, is there some busted cards in that strategy? Possibly, but we have to hit the actual problem of the strategy instead of just hitting random cards, and that's where all of these cards seem to follow. Now, while Firewall Dragon isn't necessarily an FTK card, it doesn't inflict a massive amount of damage, it doesn't mill out your opponent's entire deck, Firewall Dragon actually is the proprietor of just ill design. It's one of the cards that allows you to extra link fairly easy. It allows you to create some very disturbing boards, and as long as Firewall Dragon does exist inside of the Yu-Gi-Oh card game, there will be some very unfair play with these 2-card extra links. So I think that Firewall Dragon is a well-deserved ban. I feel like every other single of these cards can be summed up in one reason: they all promote FTKs. The last card that I want to talk about is, of course, the Wind Up Hunter. Why do you guys say Wind Up Hunter? Because it creates a loop when you bring other cards off the list, and let's talk about that limited list right now. Now, the limited list is rather short, but I think it does serve a good purpose. There's no cards on this limited list that came from semi-limited or unlimited to limited. Cards just came off the list in this video. Why? I felt that Yu-Gi-Oh is a very, very fair game right now. If you take out the FTKs, there are so many decks that can compete, and a couple of decks that just need a little push to be in the competitive scene and be a very good deck. A dominant deck? No. There's not a single dominant deck in Yu-Gi-Oh right now. Are Sky Strikers a little powered? Yes. But a couple of other pushes to other decks will put them into the fray, weakening Sky Strikers overall because it's a very streamlined deck. Another thing I wanted to mention is that there are quite some cards that I wanted to make off, or wanted to put off the Forbidden list, but there are so many brilliant players in Yu-Gi-Oh! I wanted to step on eggshells in this specific list because every time you can take a card off, a brilliant player will make some really busted combo, or has the potential to make a really busted combo. So I was pretty cautious with my limited cards. On the limited list, we have Zodiac Trident. We also have Wind-Up Carrier Zenmaity and Spellbook Judgment. Very simple, very concise. None of these cards I feel are problematic in Yu-Gi-Oh! Zodiac was once a deck that was dominant, but if you look at Yu-Gi-Oh! Now, making rank 4s isn't easy, and with Broad Bull still banned, you don't have an easy access rank 4 to make that Zodiac Trident. Now, I was really cautious with the Zodiac unbanned because I think that Zodiac is a very powerful deck and might bring a little bit to other decks. It also requires extra deck space, something that's becoming more and more important, and I don't want it to be splashed in every single deck. So Zodiac Trident is a very fair compromise to bringing or to giving Zodiac power while still enabling or disabling other decks from being able to use the Zodiac engine. Wind-Up Carrier Zenmaity is a powerful card, but if you guys only ever understood why it was banned, you were like, oh, it can come off the list. Wind-Up Carrier is banned because it special summons monsters. You know how many cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! Just reward you for special summoning monsters now these days? Heck, Monster Reborn is off the list, and it is not a great card. It's a good card, but not a great card, not a powerful card. I just think that Wind-Up Carrier Zenmaity not only brings wind-ups a little bit closer to the competitive scene, but it also allows them to have one of their cards back. I'm well aware of how wind-up monsters can put various amount of link monsters on the board, but I'm also aware that wind-ups do need a little bit more support. The last card is Spellbook Judgment. This is a card that is off the list in the OCG, and Spellbooks still do nothing. I really wanted to put this to 3, but it's almost like a test the waters thing, see how it works before we put it into fruition. That is it pretty much with all of the limited cards. Again, only 3 limited cards. I didn't think that there was much else you needed to put inside of this. I thought that it was very powerful to have some of these strategies come off and still be really dominant, but let's talk about those semi-limited cards because that's where the list gets a little bit bigger. On to that semi-limited, we have a plethora of cards that are off the list. Semi-limited is Dynamite the True Draco Fighter, Miscellaneous Ceres, Necros of Bryonic, Necros of Unicorn, Spiral Quick Fix, Spiral Drone, and True King's Return. As you guys can see, I actually did put a focus and archetypes in this semi-limited list, and with given a lot of time, maybe a couple more weeks, I probably would have been able to give you a more concise list, but again, I want to show you guys how we do it best, not first. And I think we had some ample amount of time to consider, to debate, to actually put together a very solid list. And these cards can actually, I feel, come to the semi-limited list, give their respective decks a boost without being able to break the format. On to the True Draco aspect, True King's Return and Dynamite the True Draco Fighter being the 2. True Draco is in a very solid spot right now. Very solid. I think that this would give the deck a necessary boost that it needs to stay in the competitive scene, seeing that its best card was banned for good reason, without breaking the compromise of making it the overly powerful deck. Necros is one of the most iconic decks in Yu-Gi-Oh! Right now, or actually period of all time. And it sees 0 play. Why? Because the consistency is hit. Bringing Necros of Unicorn and Necros of Bryonic to 2 is right where it belongs. Do you guys get Necros of Shreed in this list? No, it's a very powerful card. It also forces you to play incantations and other cards that can make your deck a little bit more inconsistent, which also in turn makes the deck a little less powerful, so it's not over the top. I wanted to make Necros a sort of balance, not an overpowered deck that could play in the meta. Now, if this actually proves to be untrue and Necros still aren't competitive, maybe a little bit of nudges in their archetypal support, such as Shreed, Bryonic, and Unicorn coming even further down the list, but I thought that this was a good step in the right direction. Spiral Quick Fix and Spiral Drone. To be honest with you guys, with Firewall Dragon banned, I felt that these can come to 3, but baby steps. We want to push it into the right direction, and possibly within the next list, these cards would come completely off the list, kind of like what Konami does with everything. I do think if there's anything that they do right, that is one of them. Gradually easing cards off the list to eventually be off the list if they prove to be no problem. Spiral is a very powerful deck, yes, but it is a very flawed deck innately. It's a very fragile deck, even in this form. Now, I gotta ask you, Spiral players, I know I don't give you guys any love. Would you rather have one Firewall Boy and a very fragile deck, or you're droning quick fixes in a less fragile deck? You'll obviously have to change your strategy. Extra linking is the thing, and possibly you still can't extra link without Firewall Dragon, but of course it's going to cost more of your resources. Lastly is Miscellaneous Ceres. I like dinos. This might be a little bit of biasness. I like dinos. I think dinos are like on the cusp of competitiveness. Very, very powerful deck right now. A second Miscellaneous Ceres could put it up. Do I need to bring Miscellaneous Ceres to 2? Probably not. But with all of the significant boosts to other decks, it actually might be necessary to bring it to 2 just to have it compete with the other decks. I mean, dinos aren't a deck that are dominating right now. Give them a bone. I'm not saying bring Danglong back from the list. I'm not saying make the deck overly powerful with Lethal Sagam off the list. I'm saying give it a bone with Miscellaneous Ceres. Get it? Give it a bone, Dino, bone, Miscellaneous Ceres. Whew. We already went through Forbidden. We already went through Limited. We went through Semi-Limited. And I'm really excited to present you guys Unlimited, because I'm telling you, it is a lot of cards in this Unlimited section. Let's get right on to it. Unlimited is going to be Heavy Metal Foes Electromite. I know you Pendulum players are jumping for joy at that one. Nightmare Goblin, El Shadow Construct, Gemini Master Diamond, MX Saber Invoker, 8 Assault Core, Chaos Emperor Dragon, Envoy of the End, Aether, the Heavenly Monarch, Cosmo Dark Destroyer, Luster Pendulum, the Draco Slayer, Cleaford Scout, Wind Up Magician, Zodiac Rapier, Book of Moon, Called by the Grave, Pantheism of the Monarchs. Now, a lot of these cards can completely off the list for one reason and one reason only. FTKs don't exist. MX Saber Invoker was not a card to be limited till the FTK come around. Gemini Master Diamond was a very bad, very poor hit by Konami that I'm going to be making up for. Assault Core, another poor hit by Konami that should have been addressed. Nightmare Goblin, extra linking is no longer a problem, and if you do extra link, I would assume that you have, you know, some really good resources. Even when you take the Gunpowder Loop, for example, Gunpowder actually isn't a great card. It's not a terribly powerful thing to do, but more for that in another video because of how Yu-Gi-Oh is involved. Discarding cards from your opponent's hand when they get to choose isn't the smartest thing always, especially with some of the decks that we have prevalent. This list is huge. It gives a huge boost to the Monarch strategy with Aether and Pantheism. Being able to actually play Yu-Gi-Oh! The deck is completely dead. There's nothing saving it. Aether and Pantheism would definitely make it a very, very viable deck, and I think that both of them can come to 3. Not because of the OCG having them at 3 and Monarch still not doing anything, but because that was 3 years ago, and Yu-Gi-Oh! Has definitely changed as a card game since then. The anti-meta presence of preventing the opponent from playing extra decks is something that's been littered throughout this list if you guys haven't caught on. Monarchs, Necros, True Dracos. Think about it, ladies and gentlemen. I'm giving you guys an option to not play the extra deck in Yu-Gi-Oh! Now, how grand would that be to not have to play an extra deck, to not have to spend an additional amount of money, X amount of dollars, hundreds of dollars, to play Yu-Gi-Oh! When you can play these multiple anti-meta decks that can compete? I want you guys to think about that. Same thing with Cosmo Dark Destroyer. Same thing with El Shadow or Shadows. While the extra deck is a little bit different from this, you're actually going to need to invest into an extra deck. Shadows aren't that expensive, and I'm talking about the low rarity, low end budget cards. Winda and Shadow Fusions were reprints, so being able to play this deck more anti-meta like extra deck disruptor type decks are definitely on the rise within this list. Everything else is pretty much self-explanatory. Zodiac Rapier can come to 3 because we want to promote the Zodiac archetype. Don't think that rank 4s are that important to the Yu-Gi-Oh card game, seeing that links have moved past the Exceed mechanic, allowing you to have to fight for your extra deck space. How many Exceeds, Fusions, Link Monsters, whatever you want to put into your extra deck, it's going to be a little bit harder, Synchros and such. I also feel that Called by the Grave can definitely come to 3 again for multiple reasons. The first reason is that Called by the Grave was hit for decks that make extra linking boards or for FTK-like decks to stop you from being hit. You activate that hand trap, well, they have the Called by the Grave, 33% chance they'll have it in their beginning hand, so they can just pop off. Called by the Grave actually serves its real intended purpose, being able to stop in dead or hand traps. Now, there's no hand traps hits on this list. Maxi is still banned one of the most powerful cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! There's actually a Battle of the Gods game where, Maxi just shows its colors on how dangerously powerful it is. But that's pretty much it for our Forbidden list. Thank you guys so much. I want to know down below in the comment section, what do you guys think should be added to this list? What else do you guys think should come off this list? This is an open debate, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know what cards would be best for your Forbidden list. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, but most of all, enjoy. I hope you guys are having a great day, like I am.